So I get asked a couple questions, and I thought maybe I'd start answering them a little bit one by one. And one of the ones I get asked, especially by kids, is why do my sheep have these tags in their ears? And does it hurt? And so the first, I guess the answer to the second question is it really doesn't hurt. And I tell you, the first time I tried to put a tag in a sheep's ear, and they're lambs, so they're young. I had a hard time doing it. I sat there for the longest time thinking, okay, I can do it, I can do it. And then I did it, and there was really no reaction whatsoever. The biggest reaction they have in terms of protest is they don't want to be held. They don't want to be contained. They don't want to be taken away from their mom for the minute that it takes. So the faster you do it, the happier they are. But it going in is definitely not painful to them. They don't notice at all. They walk off. It's not a big deal. And it's very similar to doing an earring, if you've ever gotten an earring. So I have this applicator, and you'll see it has this sharp end on it. And so that end, I have this piece of it right here, goes on right there. And then this other part of it looks like this, and it goes in this like little spring-loaded area, like this. And so what happens is that I find a spot on their ear. You want to feel it, and there's going to be veins that go through the ear, and you want to find the spot as close to the center of the ear as you can so it doesn't get ripped out, but between those veins. And if you do it between those veins, there's no blood. It really isn't a big deal. It doesn't hurt. And you place it right on top between that area and give it a good squeeze. These go together, and you pull it out, and the tag is part of it. So why do we do these tags? Part of it is identification, because now I can look out there and I can go, if I want to keep track of whose moms are producing animals that have very low parasites and are resisting parasites when they do get them, then I need to know which moms produce two. And it's great when you have 2 or 3 sheep out there, but when you have a whole flock and you're trying to remember, okay, whose baby is that? And you're really trying to keep track of the records, it's very, very important you have a numbering system. And so each animal has a unique number. And for me, I change colors of these tags each year so that I can easily look out there and go, oh, that's from 2 years ago, because that was the year I used pink tags, or that's the year I used black tags. Also, to add to it, in case I can't remember, is I start that year with the year. So this is 2026. So this is 2620, meaning that it is the year of 2026. And I try to do it in order of birth, so it's the 20th lamb that born that year. I don't do it completely. In fact, I usually only buy 20 tags, which means I ran out this year because I had a lot of lambs born. So I used some of my tags from last year that were an off year. It's going to say 25, but they're on the rams. And I don't keep the rams, so it doesn't matter quite as much that they're not going to have that year, because they're not going to be my flock next year. The other reason we do it is for something called scabies. Scabies was a disease that is very rarely seen now, and so there's a scabies eradication program. And so the USDA requires these tags if they leave your farm. For sale, for slaughter, for whatever reason they leave your farm, they need to have a tracing mechanism so that if a scabies outbreak occurred, they can trace it back to say, okay, this came from this farm. And so they know where the scabies came from. So the other part that's on there, if you can look, it has the name of my farm, South Hatton. It has the number, so it's a unique identifier for this particular animal. It says unlawful to remove, kind of like your mattress tags. And then the other side, if I could get this out, is going to have my flock identification number. So you'll see MD 4008, and so that's my flock identification number. So if there is a scabies outbreak, they can look back and say, hey, there was an animal who entered this flock from flock MD 4008, and maybe that's the cause, but there was 5 other flocks that also entered it. So let's kind of trace that back and find out where the scabies came from. So this is how they eradicated it. I don't know anybody who's had a scabies outbreak anywhere, but it is still required. And so by law, I'm doing it, but also because it's very, very helpful to me. So that's tags. Hope that helps. And if you have any other questions, feel free to ask. I'm happy to answer.